asked for some kind of advice, almost daily. Sometimes I do have advice to give, and sometimes I find it necessary to ask clarifying questions that allow the person space to rationalize their thoughts without my influence. As a Christian counselor, I got my doctorate in biblical studies and pastoral counseling. As a Christian counselor, I learned not to interject my opinions on someone's decisions. I may or may not agree. However, my position is to help them navigate perspectives that lead them to the best possible solution for their situations. Say it again, I may or may not agree, but my position and my responsibility is to help them navigate perspectives that lead them to the best decisions for their solutions. I've learned not to make a decision for their situations. Most people won't take ownership of my decisions that I made to resolve their problems, because ownership means responsibility, and responsibility means owning the decisions that need to be made. Knowing that, I try my best to give sound advice from my lived experiences, from my learned experiences, and from what the Holy Spirit speaks to me concerning their situation. Tracy, fortunately and unfortunately, every counselor or person you may seek advice from will not counsel as I do. Some counselors don't mind making decisions for their clients and telling them what they should do or do not do as the counselor sees fit for their well-being. I don't attest to that type of counseling. I wasn't trained that way. I prefer to share perspectives that will help lead to the best solution for the situation. Y'all, I went to school for counseling. I was taught some things about the pros and cons of counseling. But our family counselors, our street counselors, our co-worker counselors, our social media counselors, our church folk counselors don't counsel like me. I'm not saying they aren't wise, but I do suggest that they may not advise with moral character that leads to your success or healing. Every person with a tongue isn't speaking love. Say again, every person with a tongue isn't speaking love. I know they have good intentions, but if your advice giver tells you what to do, rather than suggest what you may want to think to heed to, their influence could be controlling. My bad, family, that's my opinion. And since I got the mic, let me caution you, be mindful of who you share with and seek counsel from. Be mindful of who you share with and seek counsel from. Satan knows how to mask himself and as help, then flip the help for your detriment. I'm going to say it again because somebody might be listening. Satan knows how to mask himself as help, then flip himself to help you to your detriment. Everyone has something good to say. It's not good for you. Say it again. Everyone who has something good to say is not good for you. And every listening ear is not confidential or caring. Be mindful of who you seek advice from. Contrary to popular belief, every now and then, we all need sound advice. Every now and then, we need to speak to a person, we need a person that loves us enough to speak some sense into a situation we're facing. Every now and then, we need someone to impart some wisdom so that we can make sound decisions for a brighter tomorrow. And although we may need it, each of us must decide how and if we will receive it. Every ounce of love won't make sense. Every piece of wisdom won't be wise. And every decision isn't yours to take. Every direction isn't yours to follow. We must discern whose advice we can use and whose advice we must leave right where we got it. That's got to be hard, I guess, huh? Leave some decisions right there. Some advice, you leave it right where you got it. Yeah, that's hard for some of us, huh? Following along to everybody. And everything's one day you good, one day you bad. You done talk to the same person in both days. They done led you astray. The navigation of advice is tricky. Yeah. Most people give advice with good intentions, but not always with proven positive results. Some of the worst advice I've received has come from my best friends. And some of the best advice I've received has come from strangers. That didn't make sense to me, but it makes sense to me now. Just because we get good advice from a family member, a friend, or a person in church doesn't mean it'll be beneficial for us. And just because we get advice from a stranger or some random person doesn't mean their advice is not beneficial to us. We must learn to receive and use advice for our well-being and not for the manipulated intentions of others. Listening to the wrong person might ruin your life. Listening to the right person just might prosper your life. Listening to the wrong person, you might find yourself fighting for your life. Listening to the right person, though, you might find everything works out for your good. And I'd like to suggest to Zion Hill this morning, don't belittle any advice. We can't use every word of advice, but you can learn from all advice, the good and the bad. Even the wisest person in the sanctuary can learn from the least intelligent person. Life is always teaching lessons. Some advice doesn't need to be considered. Some advice offers fresh perspectives. Some advice confirms what you already know. It's up to us, you and me, to discern how we will use the advice we get. Y'all, today we jump back into the book of Job, and we continue this conversation Eliphaz is having with Job. You may recall Job is dealing with severe illness. After sitting for 7 days, Job speaks and curses the day he was born. Eliphaz speaks up. He reminds Job of the good he's done. Job is upright and blameless. He fears God and shuns evil. He is very wealthy and considered the greatest man among all the people in the East. And although he lost everything, because God has chosen him, and Satan had permission to do it to him, Eliphaz reminds Job of how good God has been to him. Then, here's the word, Eliphaz challenges him. Now that you're in trouble, now that trouble has come your way, go back and read it. Now that your children are gone, your servants are gone, your riches are gone, now that illness has infected your body, shouldn't you still have confidence? Shouldn't you still have hope? Wait a minute, sometimes let's make it personal. Now that trouble has come your way, now that your marriage is in shambles, now that your children are sick, now that your money is funny, now that your dreams are deferred, now that illness has infected your body, now that you lost your position, shouldn't you still have confidence in God? Shouldn't you still have hope that God is able? In the remainder of chapter 4, Eliphaz reminds Job it's necessary. Y'all should have been here last week. Go back and watch it. Eliphaz says, Job, it was necessary. Then in chapter 5, Eliphaz says, but if I were you, wait a minute, Negro. He said, but if I were you, wait a minute, Negro. I have just had about enough of hearing you speak by now. And if we're honest today, many of you have been there before. You've had this boisterous opinion from some friends, and he just wants to get it out to give you some advice. But he's already plucked your nerves. They can tell by your body language, you're not feeling this no more. They can sense by the groans you're making or the side eye you're giving that this Negro has gone too far. They're talking too much. A wise person may sense it and stop talking. But that's not all people. There's some folks that still got more to say, And at this point, you just want them to be quiet. Somebody knows what that feels like. And I imagine that Job felt that way. But what Eliphaz says is not bad advice. Even though Job may not have wanted to hear it, and although I can't speak for Job, I believe it's sound advice for you and me. Here's what he says. If I were you, I'd appeal to God. I would lay my cause before him. That's good advice. Let me share another piece of perspective. If you have a friend that encourages you to seek God before you seek more opinions of man, that's a good friend. Yeah, Eliphaz may have gotten on Job's nerves. Your friend may have gotten on your nerves. But after their extended reminder of how good you are and how faithful you've been and how you're growing through this storm, then they tell you to appeal to God, you ought to know you got a good friend. A friend that knows how amazing God is. A friend that knows God is a healer for themselves. A friend that will lead you back to God in your storm. That's a good friend. Everyone needs a friend that will remind you of where to take your burdens when life gets heavy. I'm going to say it again. Every one of us need a friend that will remind us of where to take our burdens when life gets heavy. All of us need a friend that can lead us to the place where we can lay our burdens down and they roll away. Wasn't it at the cross? At the cross where we first saw the light and the burdens of our heart rolled away? Here's some advice. Make sure you got a friend that knows where you can lay your burdens down. That friend may know your struggles. That friend may know your secrets. That friend may know your heartaches. They have allowed you to rant and rave, and when they speak, they advise you to appeal to God. That's the kind of friend you need in your distress. Not the friend that leads you to sin. The bro code is the bro code ought to lead you to seek peace, not revenge. The sis code ought to lead you to seek forgiveness and not hold a grudge. If your friend said, if I were you, I'd appeal to God. Don't appeal to the bottle. Don't appeal to the gun. Don't appeal to the drugs. Don't appeal to the alcohol. Don't appeal to the bad habits. Your friend says, appeal to God. I know it hurts, but God can fix it. I know it hurts, but God can heal it. I know it hurts, but God can restore. Y'all ain't talking back to me like you know he can do it. I know it hurts, but God can do amazing things with your broken pieces. Appeal to God. I will lay my cause before him. Here's some sound advice. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. All because we don't carry everything to God in prayer. Have you trials and temptations? Is there trouble anywhere? You should never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Can you find? Y'all ain't talking back to me. See, if I know that if I was in a black church and a Baptist church, somebody would be on their feet and say, that's right, Bishop. Yeah. Can you find a friend so faithful who will all our sorrows share? Jesus knows your every weakness. I said as a friend, take it to God in prayer. Yeah. Take it to God in prayer. Eliphaz says, as a good friend giving you sound advice, appeal to God. Appeal to God. I say take it to God in prayer. Here it is. Then Eliphaz says, I would appeal to God. Here's the why. Because he performs miracles. Y'all read this text? We got a Bible reading church. Anybody in this church read the Bible? We got a Bible reading church. Hey. I don't know Eliphaz's story. I don't know his story. I don't know what God had done for him. His relationship with God, I have not seen recorded in the Bible. However, I safely assume that Eliphaz has a relationship with God. However, you remember in chapter 2, you go back to chapter 2, verse 12, when Eliphaz, his homeboy, Bildad, and Zophar, saw Job from far away, they didn't even recognize him. They tore their robes as a sign of grief and mourning, but Job wasn't dead. They sprinkled dust on their fresh shape up, symbolizing getting as close to the ground and earth as they possibly could, seeking God's pity and forgiveness for Job. That's a good friend. To me, that's evidence of a relationship. Eliphaz says, God performs wonders that cannot be fathomed. Miracles that cannot be counted. He provides rain for the earth. That's a miracle. He sends water to the countryside. It's in the text. That's a miracle. The lowly he sets on high. That's a miracle. Those who mourn are lifted to safety. That's a miracle. That didn't resonate with you. Let me see if I can help you. He woke you up this morning. That's a miracle. Clothe you in your right mind. That's another miracle. When you get it, you'll wake up and you'll stand with me. Didn't let you sleep too late. That was another miracle. He woke you up right on time. That's another miracle. He started you on your way. That's a miracle. He brought you here safe today. That's another miracle. He healed you from your infirmities. That's another miracle. He kept your children safe. That's a miracle. He keeps your heart beating. That's a miracle. He got warm blood in your veins. That's a miracle. He's protected you from seen and unseen dangers. That's a miracle. He opened doors that should have been shut. That's a miracle. He turned your sorrows into joy. That's a miracle. He gave you peace in your storms. That's a miracle. He gave you strength to endure. That's a miracle. He gave you victory over your enemies. That's a miracle. He turned your midnights into day. That's a miracle. He comforted your loneliness. He blessed your brokenness. He looks beyond your faults and meets all your needs. That's a miracle. He keeps on loving you. That's a miracle. God is a miracle worker. Can I tell you, I'm looking for a miracle. Are there any miracles in the room tonight and in this morning? Expect the impossible. Feel the intangible. See the invisible. Don't you know the sky is the limit to what I can have? Just believe and receive it. God can perform it today. Do I have any miracle seekers in here this morning? Do I know, if don't fool me now, do I have any miracle seekers in the sanctuary this morning? Come on, you ought to declare with me, I'm looking for a miracle. I expect the impossible. I feel the intangible. I see the invisible. Don't you know the sky is the limit to what I can have? All we got to do is just believe and receive it, and God can perform it today. Yeah. Y'all, that sound device. DJ, would you look that up real quick? I'm looking for a miracle. Find it on YouTube by First Baptist Church of Glen Arden. I'm looking for a miracle. I expect the impossible. Come on, you ain't got to sit and look at me and give God the praise. I expect the impossible. I feel the intangible. And I see the invisible. Don't you know? That sound device. The sky is the limit to what I can have in Jesus. Just believe and receive it. God can perform it today. I'm looking for a miracle. You hear them singing it already. We might as well find it.